Welcome to the 2019 Volkswagen Touareg. This is the third generation, obviously. They've been around for quite a while. And while you don't get any fancy V12 powered ones, you do get a 3 litre, which is what's in this, in a either 220 brake or 286 PS. Now there are loads of different variations of Touareg that you can get, starting with the very bottom line, which is around about £49,000 to £50,000. If you want to go for an R-Line Tech though, that's £55,000, and if you want one with loads of options like this, that's close to £75,000 as you can get. Not a cheap car, but lots of car for the money. So what was I saying? The engine. So that's a 3 litre 6-cylinder diesel. It produces in this one, because you have two engine variants, 286 PS, so call it 281 brake horsepower. That's also 600 newton meters of torque. It does 0 to 62 in 6.2. Tops out 146 miles an hour. This one also comes with adaptive rear steering. It's very direct steering on the road. And generally, I mean, even though this is £75,000, including some of the options like night vision, you feel like it's worth it. It's not cheap by any means, but this new Touareg is by far their best ever. And it's currently the most luxurious car that they make, because the Phaeton isn't a thing anymore. And this would kind of walk all over the Phaeton. If you're looking at buying a Touareg, then fuel economy probably isn't of your highest priority, shall we say. But that said, Volkswagen claim that this can get 46-ish on a run. It can get about 36-ish around town and about 42 combined. Now for a car that almost has 290 PS, it's got a pretty constant all-wheel drive system, it weighs an awful lot. Those are pretty good figures, but realistically, how realistic are those figures? So I'm going to try a bit of town driving, and with light town driving, see what I get. So with a just city run, and there was lots of start-stop, uphills, downhills, going up to 40s and slowing down, this is a proper city test. That was 32.1 miles per gallon. So while not the 36 claimed, when you think realistically that 36 they're claiming for isn't, you know, generally that achievable, it's like ideal circumstances. I didn't have ideal circumstances and I still got pretty close, especially when you consider the size of this vehicle, the engine it's got, and the type of luxury you're driving around in. Now, when I say walk all over the Phaeton, I do obviously mean that the Phaeton was ahead of its years, but this is just so luxurious. It is shouting luxury as you go along, and everyone that I've seen, that I've spoken to about this car, they said that they'd have it over a Range Rover any day of the week. So let's start with the outside. Very typically Volkswagen design. Front end now, very big grille. Now that's to do with the Chinese market, because they quite like that kind of styling cue, but it works in Europe. This is a generally quite understated car that really from the outside doesn't look expensive and doesn't shout I'm expensive, but it is. Now this one has the optioned 21-inch alloys, which are huge, but they give you plenty of tread, enough so that you're not too worried about curbs, you're not worried about potholes, and the general outside look of this car is just sleek, understated, sporty, stylish, blends in, but also does show that it's got enough elegance to blend in at the Ritz, really. The typical Volkswagen sweeping lines are all over the exterior, and while it does share some, shall we say, styling traits from sister vehicles generally from the outside, this is very much a Volkswagen, and it does carry over the characteristics that the Touareg has had for years. It still looks like a Touareg. When you step inside, you step into a world of luxury, a world of proper luxury that even a Range Rover, because everyone seems to see Range Rover as a standard for a luxury SUV, Range Rover does very, very well. This does it even better. Luxury mixed with hard and good wearing plastics, mixed with amazing infotainment and navigation screens, mixed with brilliant legroom and comfort, massage seats, amazing audio, and a huge panoramic sunroof. You join me somewhere a little bit different. Now, I'm on my way to a gig, but instead of doing the normal leaving from home and doing something as I always do, I decided to step it up a little bit. So behind me, Touareg. You can see I'm on a beach. I've started sort of in the middle of nowhere. I'm going to take a slightly let's say off the beaten track route to my gig. I'm going to see what fuel economy I get, because it will be proper combined. It's utilising the ability that this has to take some of the, not precarious, shall we say, alternative routes. What fuel economy do I get? How comfortable is it? All the weight's in the back of it for all my equipment, and it's pulling it already without failure. So let's see really what a turnaround fuel economy I'm going to get. On the motorway, I'm sure this is going to get up to 40 miles per gallon, because realistically it does very easily achieve that, in fact above that. But as a combined around town, off-road a little bit, how does it do as the ultimate go everywhere, do everything daily? I have arrived to my gig in a timely fashion, very comfortable, very smooth, 43 miles per gallon. Now, while a lot of the time was spent on the motorway, a fair bit was spent on back roads. So to be fair, for such a big thing, as long as you're not having to come to a stop constantly, the fuel economy is really good, I guess, because it's a 3 litre. More torque means it's easier to pull, so less strain on the engine. So generally, from a gig test point of view, superb. Generally then, this is a great competitor to the Range Rover because the inside is so luxurious. While you do have the typical Volkswagen hardware and plastics, that means they're not going to get damaged. Inside really looks luxurious. Now, when I said about the infotainment, it is mental. So in the middle, you have a 15-inch infotainment screen. In front of you, in your navigation, or your, what do you call it, the cockpit display here, you have a 12-inch screen, which can be adapted to however you want it to look. The visibility from the driver's seat is fantastic, and they've even got a little extra window here so your blind spot is totally minimised. If you still have a bit of a worry with the blind spot, well, there's sensors all over the car to make sure you don't even clip a curb when you're going in forwards into a parking space. Continuing inside with the amenities, you get your passengers in your front seat, passengers anyway, they get massage seats as an option with this seat pack. They're heated. Now, the rear passengers get bundles of leg room. If you go for the Super Climate pack, you then also get rear seat control, so you can have basically 4 different modes of heat or cooling as you want. You can have heated or cooled in the front. I believe heated option seats in the back is a thing, and in the back they're ridiculously spacious. I mean, there's more than enough space for anything that you could fit in there, even the tallest of people. You've got ISOFIX to ensure that your baby seats are in place, and really the inside is just a really comfortable and quiet place to be. It's really, I mean, you could say Rolls-Royce quiet, it's almost there. Which for a car which costs about a quarter of the price of a Cullingham, or however you say that, that's really good value for money. The Dyna audio system is truly superb. It is powerful, it is punchy, really bassy, almost too bassy at times, but powerful, loud, clear, clarity. It's brilliant. When you come to the boot, there's plenty of space, and in fact with the seats down, you get 1800 litres of space in the boot. That is insane, and a standard with the seats up, I believe you get more space in the next 5. You don't get 7-seat option because they're leaving that to the Tiguan All Space, but generally inside this is amazing. And if you struggle to get stuff into the boot, there's a button to lower if you've got the air suspension to lower the back so you can get stuff in easier. Now to a performance point of view, performance and economy. Let's start with economy. You don't expect this to turn around good fuel economy, but really it does. Almost no matter how you drive this around town, you get between, say, 24 to 29 miles per gallon. That's just how it is. If you're really careful and you're lucky, you get up to 35. Now they claim on a run you'll get 46. If you were lucky, you probably would. 3 litre diesel, 286 PS, 600 newton meters of torque. It doesn't have to struggle to pull its weight, so that is totally viable. Now, performance is one of those things that you kind of don't expect to associate with a Touareg, but I mean, this is no slouch. 6.2 to 62 miles an hour, and it tops out 146 miles an hour, and I'm assuming that's limited 146 miles an hour. When you're cornering on back roads, as long as you're in sport mode, you don't feel this lumbering around. Now, that's partially to do with the fact that it's got adaptation on all of the springs and sway bars, and everything is adaptive if you've got the right pack, so you don't feel lumbering around the corner. And this feels more like a Golf than it does a 4x4. It doesn't feel like a Touareg on the back roads. Acceleration is swift when the car knows you want to go. It does have a bit of a lag to going, which is a little bit annoying at junctions, but once you get to know what it's going to do, you kind of preemptively put your foot down before you want to go, because you know the car's going to take a second to respond. Even in the racier mode, it is still a little bit laggy, but once you get going, the power is great. The handling, it's electric, so you don't expect it to be too amazing, but you do get feedback from the road. The brakes are surprisingly good, and this stops really, really well for a 2-ton car. So generally, from a performance point of view, this really can be a more performance car. I mean, if it's 286 PS, imagine remapping that. That's probably like 350 brake horsepower, probably goes up to like 800 Newton meters of torque. That's going to rip the tarmac up. That is a properly quick SUV. And that's starting to get towards SQ7 level fast, although that's 900 Newton meters of torque, but we're getting there. If you're looking at a Touareg, boot space, probably something that you are considering. So to fit all your family essentials in, even though it can't come as a 7-seater, it's kind of ideal because it's huge. It's actually pretty much the biggest boot that you can get. I believe it's bigger than an X5, but can it do my geek test part 1 really, really easily or not? With flying colours, with ease, loads of space, really easy to load into, really practical, and especially if you have anything that's a little bit heavier and you need a slightly lower load height, well, you can air the suspension down to do that. So as it goes, very, very easy to use. So how to summarise a Touareg? This is definitely in keeping with the historical Touaregs that are going on, and currently, while you can only get the 3-litre diesel, you are going to be able to get a 4-litre V8 diesel, V6 petrol, and a hybrid. However, while that 4-litre V8 diesel is going to be SQ7 fast, it's going to be fast. The petrol is going to be very juicy while being fast, and the hybrid is going to be extremely expensive, because if you compare it to a normal Golf and a Golf GTE, that kind of gives you the idea. This is a car which on the outside doesn't shout out I'm rich, but you have spent a lot of money on it, so sometimes maybe you'd want to option some things to make it a little bit brighter. But perhaps that's a stereotype that comes with a Range Rover versus a Touareg, because they can be quite similar in prices, especially with technology, but the Range Rover shouts out more. Maybe that's a stereotype behind it more than the car itself. On the outside, it does look great. The 21-inch alloys, which are an option on this, are superb, and when you go for an R-line, it just looks really sporty. The summary of the inside, it still looks great. It's just filled with technology. I mean, there's even night vision, there's radar guided cruise, there's semi-autonomous driving, there's an amazing sound system, a huge panoramic sunroof. There's more technology in this car than you can just shake your stick at. I think that's the saying. And when it comes to performance and economy, it does everything so well. For a car which weighs 2 tons, to be able to send around that fuel economy and give that performance and that kind of driving feel, it's really phenomenal. So I really think Volkswagen have nailed this. While I am sad that you don't get like an off-road pack as an option anymore, but that's because no one really did it, but this can still go off-road. With the adaptive suspension especially, you can raise it up and go off-road as much as you want. This is a car which Volkswagen have absolutely nailed in every single way. It's packed with technology, it's packed with comfort and convenience, and it really is a flagship of the brand. It's what the Phaeton was when it first came out. The Touareg's now doing that for Volkswagen. So much technology and sharing things from sister groups, including stuff from like the Lamborghini Urus from the Q7, Q8 and all that stuff. This is a car which is just truly fantastic. Now the base price obviously for an R-Line Tech's 55 grand, but if you go for the more bottom end stuff, 49,000 and 49.50 anyway, it's gonna still be great driving. You still get the 2 engine variants and it's gonna be amazing on a daily basis. So for that reason, I think Volkswagen have nailed it. If maybe it's slightly too expensive, but I'm sure that doesn't matter too much on monthly at least.